Warning: Channel Robozoid contains adult language, adult content, strong opinions, and verbal brutality. Viewer discretion is advised.
This isn't just one event. This is a bit of a carnival. You know, the dinner itself is the event. And to get into the ballroom itself, to get into the dinner, if you had a ticket to the dinner, and that's 2,500 people, you had to go through airport style security. Now,
spit it out, Limey boy.
Into the building of the hotel before you got to that stage. And as we understand it tonight, someone entered the building and ran at that airport security when they were tackled, and we've seen the footage that President Trump has published on his Truth Social website in the last hour or so. But you could get pretty close. But there were lots of other parties, other events, other gatherings, receptions going on within the hotel that wasn't the official event. So to get into the ballroom, you had to go through that airport security. But you could get into the building without having really much of a check.
Yeah, we are hearing that the suspect has been identified as Cole Thomas Allen, who's 31 from California. And the police chief in Washington, D.C., Jeffrey Carroll, says he was a hotel guest where the event...
Good morning, everybody. It is very early in the morning, actually, because I had trouble sleeping over the whole Trump assassination attempt. And well, it's like I've mentioned, the third attempt on his life. Yes, it is I, the Robozoid, your semi-likable, occasionally tolerable curmudgeon of both the Rumble and YouTube airwaves. And, of course, I am feeling no tolerance and absolutely no like for what exactly is going on now that the liberals in the media, of course, are spewing their dry nonsense that the whole thing was actually staged and faked. The reason why they're doing this? The only reason I can figure is because, well, they want you to believe that Trump was just faking the whole thing. Why? Because he wanted to continue on with the dinner even after the perpetrator was caught. And we'll get into a little insight on the perpetrator a little bit sooner or later. But, of course, now the left-wing vermin of the press, mostly CNN and PMS Now, are saying that the whole thing was staged, that why would Trump want to continue with the dinner if the whole thing was staged, when honestly, the Trump administration did not continue with the dinner. They decided to postpone it for another time. But, of course, that doesn't stop the left-wing assholes from shooting their mouths off about something they do not understand. Pretty typical at this point, isn't it? In any case, let's have a look at exactly what we're talking about here.
Disturbed by, as we woke up this morning, is seeing folks on the internet say that this was a false flag, that we are basically all in cahoots to say that this was staged. And I think
you pretty much are in cahoots.
For all of us who was in the room, who had to jump on the ground, who had to text our family and friends and tell them that we're okay, calling our moms, like so many people in this country have done for decades. To see people say those kinds of things, it is frustrating and it's disturbing. It shows the issues that we have to try it.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
You really have to thank God that at least the perpetrator was stopped and his political motives and ideologies were being revealed. Of course, the mainstream media were pretty much slow on the uptake when it came to figuring all this out and putting it together. I, on the other hand, already knew this guy's motivations and political beliefs before most others got it. So, yeah, kudos to me for actually uncovering something that it took these guys at least a couple days to try and figure out. The name of the would-be assassin who tried and failed to kill President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the D.C. Hilton, of course, has been positively identified by the name of Cole Torrance. Cole Allen Torrance is his full name, and apparently he is of mixed race. He is apparently half black, half white, I think, and well, whatever his heritage is, it's mixed. And of course, naturally, you would expect this sort of thing from a left-wing fanatic whom I have mentioned in a previous video, was in fact a University of California professor, clearly with a motive. That motive was to kill the president, all because the guy had a clear case of TDS. He clearly was an absolute wacko, a nut job who really shouldn't be in a hospital. Honest to God, he should be in prison on death row awaiting execution for what he tried to do. I don't know why Secret Service didn't kill this man when they wrestled him to the ground. And yes, they did take him down with chokeholds and wrestling. Just see what I mean for yourselves here. Fact. They actually did tackle this guy to the ground. They tackled him, wrestled him to the ground, did a strip search on him by undressing him to see if he had any more guns, any more bombs, or even grenades on him. That's an absolute fact, which can't be denied because, well, here's one of the pictures to prove it. And as I had suspected, this guy was, well, he wasn't black, but he was certainly of a mixed heritage, which quite frankly spoke volumes to me because, let's face it, those who are racially mixed, they couldn't stand the president anyway. And like I've said, this guy used to be a professor or teacher at the University of California who had very far left liberal convictions and beliefs, and probably had voices in his head telling him to kill the president. So, yeah. Again, I was sort of right on the race thing. I was definitely right on his motives and his occupation.
White House officials tell our CBS News' Jennifer Jacobs that authorities have found anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on the suspect's social media accounts. We're also told by law enforcement sources both of his firearms were purchased legally in California. As for the defendant, Margaret, he'll appear in federal court tomorrow.
Well, Trump just used this active shooting to plug his ballroom. So we found the motive.
Well, I was against the ballroom myself, but I don't think this was staged.
Dinner. We found the motive. Of course, he would slip in. Well, actually,
who is this
we were at
daffy
the White
blonde?
House ballroom. The security would have been in tip-top shape, and no one would have been able to get in with a weapon.
At least she didn't say tippy tops.
Which is actually mostly basic protocol for a security guard, you would think. So the fact that they didn't have even a bouncer, it feels like, there. This is so staged. It's so staged. And here's the fucking motive. He's gonna do anything to get that bunker.
I'm just gonna say it. I would believe Erica Kirk was telling the truth before I would believe that what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner tonight wasn't staged. Because I've been to events at the White House.
Yeah, let's exploit her tragedies.
Security you have to pass through, and you want me to believe, you want me to honestly believe that someone got through multiple metal detectors, multiple screenings with a weapon, managed to fire it off 3 times before being taken down. They rushed the president and the first lady and the cabinet out, and now they're gonna fucking resume the event. If somebody really did get through all those levels of security with a weapon that they managed to also fire off,
ditzy blondes,
that's a massive fucking
one after the
security
other.
breach. You would not resume the event. That doesn't make any fucking sense. What's more, to the press that are terrified in that ballroom, or were terrified in that ballroom, I can't imagine what that's like, but I want you to remember that every student in this fucking nation does, because that's just a tiny fraction of what these kids experience every goddamn day.
Why isn't he in prison on death row awaiting execution for what he did? I mean, what he did was pretty much treason. I don't care if he was a far-left nut job. They're all far-left nut jobs, and in my book, they're all guilty of treason. And he really should have been given the death penalty instead of being treated in a hospital for his injuries. You know, unfortunately, because he was injured and not killed, they couldn't just arrest him on the spot like that. They had to take him to the hospital, where he could be treated for his injuries. That's why they didn't basically tase him to death, or by my choice, just basically fire and just shoot to kill. Because he tried to kill Trump, Secret Service should have killed this guy. They should have killed Torrance, and they didn't.
Another of these left-wing lunatics who's come to kill the president. 3 assassination attempts on the president now. Charlie is dead. You have people on the left lionizing Luigi Mangione.
Well, there's a bar in Wisconsin.
Let me finish.
Scott's absolutely right.
Showing
a tolerance for political violence on the left. And I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this week, it's maximum warfare all the time.
We are in an era of maximum warfare.
Yeah, brought on by assholes like you.
We have a violent streak on the left and a rhetoric problem on the left.
Sunken
that must be
in-eyed
acknowledged.
So when I was
motherfucker.
at the Department of Justice, what we found is after the 2020 election, there was a significant rise of threats to all elected leaders, state legislators, some who were killed, to our president, Joe Biden at the time, Barack Obama. Someone tried to go into his residence. This is a problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How
I
many
understand.
assassination attempts?
There are several
3.
assassination attempts
3.
to other presidents that were not successful. I agree. It should be investigated.
Well,
about
there was
why
one on Reagan
they
by John
continued-
Hinckley
what are the
Jr.
failures of the Secret
Yes,
Service
and the
report?
Democratic, just quickly, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, a Democrat, lost her life to political violence this past summer. This is not solely a problem on the left. It is a problem across the board. It is a rising
Don't
crisis.
downplay it this
It
way.
is
I
rising.
Don't try to
crisis.
downplay it, bitch.
Stop generalizing
And
the
it's
left.
appalling.
And stop generalizing the left as the
Appalling.
entire left.
Candidates
Hold on,
campaigning with Hassan
listen
Piker.
to me. Stop generalizing
I don't
the
wanna
left
listen
as
to
the
you.
left is the entire
You can be
problem.
all you want.
I'm not
It's all-
mad at you,
we have a left
Scott. I
leaning.
want you to be truthful.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in
Well,
mind?
just talking about
Clearly, he
some
doesn't
of
think
the
twice,
fact that he,
fucking loser.
is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right, but overall,
Yeah.
do you
I have
have a
no personal
responsibility?
problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets.
Ah, shove it,
simply
you
for
rat
exercising
bastard,
their
you.
First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have, died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment.
Hakeem Jeffries is a jackoff, okay? He is basically a first-rate jackoff, the worst of the Democrats, House Minority Leader, who is just who doesn't give it, who gives no credit to, who is not a credit, let us say, to other minorities. This guy is a complete asshole. And you know what? I think Scott Jennings called it absolutely for what it is. This was a bold assassination attempt. There was nothing staged. And of course, when you have the Democrats trying to play that card or dig up that one Democrat chick in Minnesota that was killed last year or whenever she was killed, they're just using her dead body as a human shield, quite frankly. And it's in poor taste, and it's not a good example. Yes, there have been presidential assassination attempts in the past, like, let us say, when John Hinckley Jr. tried to kill Ronald Reagan back in March of 1981, basically to impress Jodie Foster. And, of course, what else? Oh, yeah. I mean, there were a couple assassination attempts on Biden, on Obama, and I'm not going to sit here and say, well, too bad they weren't successful, because nobody wants to see the president get killed. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I don't give a shit whose side you're on. It's still wrong. And you know something? I think the lamestream media that think this whole assassination attempt is being staged, they should apologize profusely to both President Trump and the Secret Service. But you know something? I'm not going to hold my breath on it, and you shouldn't either. Until then, this has been the Robozoid saying, please tune in. Also, check out the Monday Memes video coming soon. And what else should I say? Just remember, you're going to learn something from watching this channel. And if you don't, well, then that's your problem, I suppose. So remember that wokeness is weakness, something the lamestream media never seems to learn. And just remember, be here or be absolutely nowhere else, because I guarantee you're going to learn quite a bit from this channel.